just want to thank everyone for coming, and I know this is our third week together, and I'm really excited, and I think that as we continue on, we'll continue to grow. And uh, I think that taking care of ourselves and doing things for us is something that women kind of always just put off. And so if I can encourage anybody to begin a regimen of self-care and help them on their journey, then that's what I'm all about, and that's kind of the direction that I want to take this this class in. So I thank you all for being here, and I know a few of you are on the our text messaging uh, encouragement program that I started. So I don't know, is anyone finding that encouraging? Is it something that you guys are enjoying, or is it annoying?
No, it's a nice pick me up every day.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot I had the phone on do not disturb. So around like 9, 10 o'clock, I said, oh, I gotta turn that back on. Well, next thing you know, I get all these bing, bing, bing. I'm like, who the heck? Like, oh, I had totally forgotten I had the phone off. And when you do that, all of a sudden they all come flying. It's, oh, Sally, and everybody else.
Yeah, it's fun, and I thought that it would be a really nice a nice thing to add to the program. So for those of you who don't know, I do a text message every morning to the group, and if it's something that you're interested in, it's $17 a month. And every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time, you get an encouraging text from me about whatever it was our program last week or our program this week, and I try to tie it all in and help you on your journey. So that's something that I've added to the program, and
Okay.
it's I think it's encouraging. So I wanted to start today by talking about the good wolf and the bad wolf. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this story before, but there's a story of the Cherokee Indian grandfather was talking to his grandson, and he said to him, there's a battle that's been going on forever, and it goes on inside of us, and there's a good wolf and a bad wolf, and the good wolf is love and self-control and joy and peace and kindness and faith, and the bad wolf is jealousy and anger and regret, envy. And the grandson said, well, which wolf wins? And he said, the one that you feed. And so I kind of thought about that on our journey to self-care. And if we're going to start taking care of ourselves, we have that bad wolf that's in our ear. And he's the one that's, giving into our cravings and anger with the slow results that we're getting, and eating too fast and skipping meals and too tired to exercise today, and mindless eating and emotional eating. And we're going to talk, I think, a little bit about that in a little while, but dealing with our emotions. And so when we feed the bad wolf, he gets more powerful. And if we feed the good wolf, they get more powerful. But what happens is, if you do good for a while and you're doing really good, and those cravings and that stuff starts going away, and then all you need to do is to just maybe feed that bad wolf one time, and you're like, oh, you know what? I already had that pizza and beer last night. I already skipped exercising. I might as well just not even do it again. And so that bad wolf just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger until the good wolf isn't even there anymore. So we got to just think about what wolf we're feeding, and how we're going to deal with taking care of ourselves and what we're going to do going forward. And somebody said something this week. I was watching a video, and she said, if they said someone said to you, listen, if in the next 24 hours, if you did everything correctly and you knew that tomorrow you would wake up and you would be at your goal, would you be able to do just tomorrow? And I think most of us would say, okay, I could do 24 hours. But what happens is, you do 24 hours, and then we get to the point where we're like the next day, and we're like, you know what? It wasn't fast enough. It didn't happen quick enough. I don't know if I want to continue doing it. And we keep second guessing ourselves, and we keep looking back, and we keep, trying to feed that bad wolf. And so I want to encourage you to just keep thinking about what it is you can do to keep yourself healthy, to do nice things for you. And maybe it's not losing weight or eating healthier, or maybe it's just taking some time to just stop, turn the television off, do your nails, do your hair, go out to dinner, just do something nice for you that you don't normally do, because I think we oftentimes forget to take care of ourselves. And we get so caught up in living our lives, in paying the bills, in cleaning the house and doing the laundry, and everything else that we need to do in a given day and in a given week, that we forget totally about taking care of ourselves. So that's kind of what I wanted to hit on a little bit today, and to just remind everybody that we deserve to be happy. We deserve to be fulfilled. We deserve to have some joy in our lives. We work hard for it, ladies. And I mean, I know most of you here, we're hard workers. And we deserve the best. And I think that's something that that if we keep working at, we can get it. So I want to thank Charlson is here today, and he is an emotional intelligence expert. And I'll just read a little bit about him. He's a renowned speaker. He's a consultant and trainer and expert in emotional intelligence and positive psychology. He's a former Air Force veteran, and he believes that the increased focus on emotional well-being holds the key to enhancing our relationships and our mindset. And he is the founder of the Facebook group, You Deserve to Be Happy, which is one of my favorite Facebook groups. I love going in there because he posts such positive and uplifting stuff all the time. And I'm always stealing his stuff and putting it in my groups. If you see stuff, a lot of it's stuff that I stole from him. Charlson, why don't you come on and say hi to everyone? And, I wanted to just start by asking you, what would you say to someone who says, you know what, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't feel like I deserve to have happiness in my life.
Hello, Sally. Thank you very much for having me here. And I love what you said so far, that we deserve to be happy. And people have asked that question before. What if I don't deserve to be happy? And the reason people feel that way is because they judge themselves. And what we often do is we'll look at our results. Like even what you were talking about earlier about trying to do right or get everything correct for 24 hours. It's one thing if you're doing things a certain way for a certain time to better yourself. It's another thing if you're trying to do everything right for 24 hours because you're trying to be perfect, because you're trying to deserve a good life. And the truth is that you don't earn happiness. When you took your first breath, you deserve to be happy. And the proof is that everyone in the room, when you were born, wanted to see you happy. Your whole life, people that loved you and cared about you wanted you to be happy. And so if you want the proof, ask them. If you trust them, do I deserve to be happy? The answer is yes. But the key is that you have to believe it. So what you have to do is understand that judging yourself has no value. A lot of times what we'll do when our friends let us down or disappoint us, we look at their intentions and we say, it's okay. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I know you meant well. I know what's in your heart. But then when we get something wrong, we don't give ourselves that same grace. I should have known better. I'm a failure. What was I thinking? And all of those things are self-judgment. They're not objective thoughts about the task at hand. What you're doing is using that event to confirm negative thoughts that you've always had about yourself. But the truth is, you weren't born with those negative thoughts. They were put in your head by someone else. And for most of us, it's when we were younger. A parent or a teacher or an older family member said, you're a failure, you're no good, you don't deserve to be happy. And you believe them because of the nature of your relationship. But isn't it possible that they were wrong and that you're not a failure and that you deserve credit for the work that you've put in for yourself and for everybody else? So many times you work so hard for other people, and then you will say, what have I done with my life? What have I accomplished? As if raising children is not an accomplishment. As if maintaining your home is not an accomplishment. Even just maintaining friendships, even forgiving people when they hurt you because they're important, those are accomplishments. You can't measure those in awards or dollars, but those are accomplishments of character. Those are accomplishments that align with your values. And so, no, you can't go to some website and look up the data, what have I accomplished? But you can look in your heart and see that the things that align with your values that are important to you have guided your life. And that's an accomplishment. And then when you recognize that about yourself, you can look at the bad days and forgive yourself. And the reason you're forgiving yourself is because you did the best you could. You were resilient when you needed to be, and you deserve to be happy. So start there. I get a little excited.
That's great. So what would you say about telling people how to overcome feelings of sadness or grieving and loss and overcoming those kind of emotions?
Well, I think a lot of it is your perspective about those emotions. A lot of times we will think that we shouldn't feel a certain emotion, or we will judge ourselves about our emotions. For example, if you lose someone that's close to you, and then people who are not empathetic towards you will tell you, you've mourned long enough. It's time to get over it. Things like that. But in reality, you have to embrace those emotions. You have to fully feel those emotions to heal from those emotions. And the fact of the matter is, happiness has no value if it's the only emotion you ever feel. So when you experience these other emotions, it enables you to appreciate the happy times more, and you should savor those happy moments. So the grieving process has a duration that's different for everyone. And there comes a point in time where the intensity of grieving lets up a little bit, right? Like there are moments in there where you're able to breathe easier, where there's not as many tears, you're not flooded with memories. And so you recognize when you get to that point, and I say recognize when you get to that point, as opposed to forcing yourself to get to that point. Embrace the emotion, let it take its course. Then when you get to that moment, think of how you can honor that person. What did that person want for you? Did they want you to be happy? Did they want you to live a life that's fulfilling, full of love? If so, then you can honor that person by doing what you love. You can honor that person by showing gratitude, remembering the best things about that person. And so you have to choose your thoughts. You miss the person regardless. Your heart hurts regardless. But in that moment of pain, I can choose to think poor me, it's so awful, or I can choose to think, wow, we had some great years together. And then the sadness doesn't just disappear. When you lose someone that you really love, you don't just ever turn that off or forget. But in those moments, you can intentionally think, what was the funniest thing we did together? Remember that time in high school? Remember that time at work, that time in college, that vacation we went on? Just the crap we went through together at work, you know? And when you think like that, you honor the memories of that person, you honor the good times. And the foundation of that is gratitude, being grateful for the moments that you shared. And what happens is you might get too deep in the gratitude and it may remind you how bad you miss that person. And I've been there, I've done that. So I'm honoring the memory and I'm full of gratitude. I'm laughing at the things we laughed at and my laughter turns into tears. And then I remember I'm human and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I can embrace these tears. I can pause for a moment. I can catch my breath. And so there's the gratitude as a foundation of honoring the memories. And then there's also the mindfulness breathing. A lot of times we have these memories, good, bad, whatever, but something triggers some stress in you and you want to relieve that stress. And so you use your breathing to do it. And what you're doing is turning off your stress response and turning on the relaxed response. And so really all I'm talking about is a couple breaths where you breathe in through your nose, inhale 4 or 5 seconds, hold your breath for a second, then exhale through your mouth. That's it. You breathe because what you're doing, you're slowing down and maintaining your breathing, which signifies to your brain that we can relax now. It's okay. We're going to be all right. And so in that moment, you can gather yourself and gather your composure and then proceed on with your life, honoring that person, holding on to the great memories, as well as recognizing that, yeah, there's still some hurt there.
Yeah, that's great. And what would you recommend for those of us who are emotional eaters? I know when when I'm stressed or angry or just feeling sorry for myself, grabbing that gallon of ice cream in the refrigerator, it comes real easy. What are some things that you recommend for those of us who are emotional, and maybe it's not eating, but maybe it's buying things on the computer or or doing something that we probably shouldn't be doing?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the first thing is self-awareness, understanding what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and then how you express or experience that emotion. For example, I'm feeling this down or negative emotion because this happened. Maybe I'm feeling sorry for myself. Why am I feeling sorry for myself? Because this happened. So how do I experience that? What I mean by experience is internally, my experience for feeling sorry for myself is hunger. So that's how I experience it, is the need for snacks or something like that. So that's the first thing, is recognizing what you're not. And what you're not is in the need for shopping or eating. But the reason you go to those things is because your brain recognizes that there's been a change, so it wants to return to like normalcy or balance. And I'm talking specifically about certain neurochemicals in your brain, the serotonin and the dopamine. And those get elevated with some really good ice cream. And I'm a chocolate ice cream guy myself, so vanilla might not have the same effect, right? And that's my self-awareness. It's like, if I'm feeling bad and you bring me vanilla ice cream, I might feel worse. I'm just letting you know in case we're ever in that same spot. And so when I recognize what's going on with me, when I recognize the why, then I can address the why, which goes back to what I said earlier, the gratitude and the mindfulness meditation. Now, when people think about meditation, you have to understand that you don't have to do it for 30 minutes. You don't have to have the app. You don't have to have candles. You don't have to have the music, the fancy rug. You can do it anywhere. You can do it for 3 or 4 breaths, right? Just in this moment, I felt kind of a wave of depression, kind of a wave of sadness. This thought came out of nowhere that just kind of hit me and said, you know what? You suck. You still haven't finished it. And when that hits me, my response is to breathe in, inhale through my nose, just 4 or 5 seconds, hold it, and then exhale through my mouth for a few seconds. And what I'm doing is I'm taking that negative thought, the source of those negative emotions, and I'm expelling those because that thought is not really a threat to you, it's internal. And so I don't need to respond to that. I don't have to block, I don't have to dodge, I don't have to go eat because I'm about to starve to death. So I can just take that and expel it through my breath and let my brain know there's no threat. We don't have to respond to that. And in those moments, do a body scan. And what I mean is, if there's any part of your body that's tense, relax it. Relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, unclench your fist. Just check your body. Is anything tight? If it is, relax it. Relax your body, relax your muscles. You cannot be completely relaxed physically and angry at the same time. You can't do it because your body is like, are we under threat or not? And by choosing the relaxing breathing, you're taking control and telling your brain, there's not a threat. We're going to relax. What you have to remember though is it's not an automatic thing. I don't want you to use any of these things to judge yourselves. For example, I'm feeling sad. I did the breathing for about 5 minutes and I'm still sad. What's wrong with me? That's not the point. It's just to get to the point where you're relaxing and recognizing that you are in control and you do not have to respond. You don't have to respond to the self doubt. You don't have to respond to the self criticism. You don't have to respond to the feelings of failure. What you can do is come up with a plan if there's something you need to work on. Because there's a difference between self judgment and accountability. Self judgment is saying, I didn't finish because I'm lazy and I'm stupid. That's self judgment. That doesn't help. Accountability is, I didn't finish because I was busy, or I didn't finish because I got distracted. Therefore, I'm going to focus more tomorrow. So I've made a decision, an objective decision that was not based on self judgment.
Love it. Love that. Now, when we had talked originally, you were telling me about our emotions when growing up and how they affect us now and our emotions as children. Is that, can you share maybe something like that with the group?
Definitely. It's very important actually that we understand this because research has shown that a lot of your self-image when you're really early teens, middle school years, you're 12, 13, 14 years old, whatever you thought about yourself then, you carry that with you. For example, you could be getting bad grades, right? And when I say bad, it depends on your parents' perspective. For some people, a B minus is a bad grade. And so you get a B minus, or you get all A's and a B, or maybe you fail half your classes and someone says you're an idiot. You can't pass, you'll never be anything. If you believe that you're an idiot, you will still have parts of that within you when you get your PhD, when you get your MBA, when you start a successful business. You will still hold on to that and you will continually believe that you're not good enough because you're fighting a demon within you that you're actually feeding. Back to your example about the two wolves. So I'm doing all of these things, working on this PhD, this MBA, working for NASA or physicists, something, high tech, some kind of AI programmer. And in the back of my mind, it's, yeah, but I still feel like I'm not good enough. So when you're going throughout your day and you begin to feel like you're not good enough. You have these limiting beliefs, this self-doubt. Recognize where that came from. And that's part of the self-awareness with emotional intelligence. Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? Who told you you weren't good enough? How old were you the first time you felt like you weren't good enough? Because everything that you did when you were 5 years old was good enough, right? Everything you did when you were 6 and 7 was good enough. You were doing great. And you have to remember that nothing you did as a child made an adult do anything. Adults are responsible for their own actions. And as you look over the lifespan, for so many of us, there's things like, parents getting divorced. Really, that's a big one. Or maybe parents or siblings using alcohol or drugs. And when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you don't fully understand family dynamics. You just think a part of you is at fault. My parents got divorced because of me. My dad's an alcoholic because of me. My mom and dad fight all the time because of me, but it's not true. You're 6 years old. What that does is create a habit, a mental loop. So when that situation is passed, as more negative situations arise, you go back to that thinking. What did I do to cause this? This is my fault. There's a team of 30 of us. We failed, but it's my fault. You carry that with you. So what you have to do is recognize, when did you first feel that, and then deal with that. Think of your inner child and tell your inner child, that 5-year-old who believes you're at fault, and say, you know what, it's not your fault. You did the best you could, and you should appreciate the fact that you were resilient in the moment. I mean, we all, right? When you're 5 years old, you do the best you can. You don't know you're doing wrong because you're 5. But you do know when you're in 3rd grade and an adult tells you, why are you so stupid? And you take that with you. And if you don't think about it, you might not realize that's why you've been thinking that for 35, 40 years. You don't know the origin of that thought in your mind. But that's where it came from, because you weren't born with that thought. That negativity is external. It's not inherent in us as human beings.
So how do we change those negative thoughts into positive ones?
So much of that really is knowing yourself. So when we're looking at emotional intelligence, the first 2 domains are self-awareness and emotion regulation. And we're looking at self-awareness. You have to look at, in regards to the question you just asked, what are my values? What's important to me? How do your values align with your thoughts and actions? So, for example, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of your degrees, regardless of all of that stuff, if loyalty is your value and you've been loyal, be proud of that. If work ethic is your value and you've worked hard your whole life, be proud of the work you put in. Don't judge yourself based on the results. You don't do your friends like that. You don't look at your friends and say, you're a good or bad person based on your bank account or your car or any of that other stuff, your education. You don't do that, because you're looking at their heart, you're looking at their mind, you're looking at what kind of person they are. Give yourself the same grace. If honesty is a value of yours and you do your best to tell the truth all the time, be proud of your effort. Why is honesty a value of yours? Maybe because when you were younger, you saw the negative effects of lying and you decided you are not going to cause that action in someone else. And you've maintained that. If you've lived a life that aligns with your values, that's something to be proud of. What can you be proud of? Don't look at the numbers, look at your heart, look at your intentions. So when you're going 24 hours, just like you mentioned earlier, Sally, about doing right for 24 hours, don't look at going through a day without making a mistake. Look at it as, let me go through the day being the person of quality that I would respect in others. Was I honest today? Did I work hard today? Was I honest with myself? Was I loyal to my friends? Did I take care of the people that love me? Was I there for others when they needed me? If friendship is a value of yours, you're not going to measure that. There's no score. Like, did you score an 8.5 today? That makes no sense. But when my friends called me, I was there for them. So begin to give yourself credit for all the wonderful things that are in your heart that have set the foundation for the life that you've lived. And understand that giving yourself credit for being that person does not mean that you go back and look at the hard times in your life and judge yourself. Because I guarantee you that every time that life got hard for you and you did something that you later regretted, I guarantee you that in that situation, you did the best you could. In that situation, you did something that aligned with choosing to survive, and you survived. And so maybe your thoughts or actions in the moment aren't something you're proud of, but in that moment, how many options did you have? You did the best you could. And then you can give yourself credit for that. We have to stop the self-judgment. It doesn't help us. And one thing that you mentioned was self-care. When you stop judging yourself and recognize that you deserve to be happy, then you're better able to take care of yourself. And the reason for that is because you know that you deserve it. It's hard to do something nice for yourself if you feel like you don't deserve something nice.
True.
And so you have to recognize that you deserve it. And think about the people that care about you. Everyone that loves you and cares about you wants you to be happy. So when you take care of yourself, you're honoring your relationships with them as well. Your self-care is about not just you, but your entire community, your friendships, your relationships. Because if you think about everyone that you know and love and care about, don't you want all of them to be happy? They want the same for you. That's a foundational strength of your relationship. So take care of yourself. And you do that first by recognizing that you deserve to be happy. And when you know that, then it's easier to do something for you that can lead to your happiness. And when you're happier, it's easier for you to be available mentally, emotionally, and physically for other people when they need you. Because I know for me, it's really hard to take care of other people when I hate myself. It's not a good time. And so in those moments, you just have to pause and reflect and say, you know what? I'm doing the best I can. I'm living my values, and I deserve to be happy.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Was there anything else that you had prepared that you wanted to share with us today?
Well, what I want to do, I want to talk about one thing in particular. Well, a couple of things. First of all, when we talk about you deserving to be happy, there's a process involved. So there's this idea of the happiness baseline. So you have a default number. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is you're absolutely miserable, and 10 is you're as happy as you can possibly be. So on a day when you wake up in the morning and everything is exactly like you expected it, life is what you think it is. What's that number for you? Are you a 3, a 5, a 6? What is that number? And whatever that number is, you deserve to be happier. You deserve to raise that number. What you have to recognize is that there's a process in raising that number. It's a journey. And you have to realize that you are worth the effort. There's nothing I'm going to tell you today that can raise your happiness baseline tomorrow. It takes effort. And when you judge yourself and you think you're a bad person, then you don't believe you're worth the effort. And so you don't even do it. There's so many things that we dream of that we want for ourselves that we don't go out and get. The reason you don't chase your dreams is because you think you are not worthy of the reward that comes from the work because of self-judgment. When in reality, you deserve the life of your dreams as you wrote it out, as you envisioned it. And when you recognize that you deserve the life that you desire, then you're more willing to put in the work. And you are worth the work. You are worth the effort. And if you don't believe me, go ask the people that you love and trust. Go ask them, hey, I want to do these things so I can be happy. Do I deserve it? And if you love and trust them, then believe them when they tell you, yes, do it, because they want to see you smile more, but they can't make you do it. So understand that you're worth the work. You're worth the effort. And as you progress along that path, you have to give yourself credit for the work you've already done. Appreciate your effort. Appreciate how far you've come. If you look back in your life at the hardest times, recognize that a lot of people would not have made it. They wouldn't have made it out like you did. You had to put in some work, and you should be proud of that. Be proud of your effort, be proud of your journey, and respect your goals, because it takes work and you're worth the work. And when we're talking about elevating your happiness baseline, what you need to do is you need to apply this concept called PERMA. And so I would like for you guys to write it down, PERMA. So I'm going to explain it to you, but you can just type in PERMA into YouTube and some videos will come up that you can watch to just explain this further. PERMA is how we elevate our happiness baseline. I'm going to tell you real quick, though, you cannot engage in PERMA unless you have self-awareness, unless you are good at identifying what you feel, why you feel that way, and how you express those emotions. When you have that self-awareness, you can incorporate the gratitude practice, which could be writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day. You can share gratitude with others. For example, I could say to Sally on Monday, how was your weekend? She could say, it was all right. Or I could say, Sally, did you do anything fun? Did anything happen that made you laugh? And that gets her to intentionally think of something positive. And so that's how we can share in gratitude. And then the mindfulness meditation, like I spoke about, inhale through the nose for 4 or 5 seconds, hold it, exhale through the mouth for 4 or 5 seconds. Relax your body. Do not respond to negative thoughts. And then you can start off by doing that for 5 or 10 breaths. And then you can turn that into 10 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes. When you're able to do that, you open your mind up to processing the information about how to elevate your happiness baseline. And that's where PERMA comes in. So the P is, here's another thing I'm going to say right now. I have a video on this, then I'm going to email it to Sally and she can email it to all of you to explain all of this so that you don't have to try to take notes or anything. You can just listen. So the P is positive emotion. Cultivate positive emotions. What can you do to laugh more? What can you do to feel more joy, to feel more awe, to feel more gratitude? And it's something different for everybody, whether it's playing with your dog, looking at the mountains. When I hear things like going for a walk because the weather's great, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. When I talk about PERMA, there's nothing that I'm going to say that is going to be mind blowing. You're not going to say, oh, wow, I never thought of that. That's crazy. What you're going to say is, I knew that, I just don't do it. And so I'm encouraging you to do it now. So the P is positive emotions. The E is engagement, for engaging your strengths. Really what that is figuring out, what do you love to do? What do you get engrossed in? What do you really enjoy? The more often you do it, the happier you'll be. If you love to paint, then paint more often. If you love yoga, do yoga more often. If you love to laugh, I can give you a list of comedians on Netflix. Whatever you love to do it more often. So, and when you do that, you're cultivating positive emotions. The R in PERMA is relationships. Do things to enhance your relationships. Call someone you love, hang out with your friends, take your dog for a walk, do things to enhance their relationships. The simplest way to do this, see, this is not going to be mind blowing. I'm building suspense, and then I hope I don't let you down. But the simplest way to do this is to hug people. That is the simplest way to do it. When you hug someone, it has this physiological effect where they feel safe and secure. Like when you hug someone you love, their body recognizes they're in a good place. And there's an exchange of physiological, just uplifting, right? It connects your mind, your body, your spirit. Enhance your relationships. You can do it with hugs, you can do it with laughter, you can do it with kind words. There's nothing fancy. There's no new skills that you have to learn. M is meaning. Do things that have meaning to you. What is your purpose? And when I say what is your purpose, understand that not everyone has the purpose of changing the world. We kind of have that perspective now that my purpose is to change the world like this or like that. Your purpose might be to just see your grandkids laugh. Okay, then do that more often. That's your purpose. If your purpose is doing something in your church, if your purpose is doing something, volunteering in the neighborhood, because that has meaning to you, those people and those relationships have meaning to you, then do that. The more often you do something that has meaning to you, the happier you will be. And the A is for accomplishment. The more often you do things where you feel a sense of accomplishment, the happier you will be. And again, it can be anything. We can't sit here and judge ourselves. I'm not talking about becoming an astronaut. I'm not talking about owning, the largest car dealership or opening the most profitable store. I'm talking about whatever it is that you feel good about doing. It doesn't matter, and acknowledge those wins. My garden, my flowers look really good today. I say that, but really my wife takes care of the plants. But it's something to be proud of. When your kids do well, when your grandkids do well, even at your job, when you can do things, for example, if you have a coworker who is feeling sad, they're feeling down, and you're able to get them to smile, that's an accomplishment. And if you are running a business and you have an increase in sales, or you change the marketing or something that you can quantify, there's a sense of accomplishment. Feel good about that. Whether it's professional, personal, lawyers win cases, or doctors performing surgery, it doesn't matter what it is from the outside. It matters how it makes you feel. So again, do something where you feel a sense of accomplishment. So now I'm going to wrap up PERMA for you. Do something that you love to do with people you care about, that aligns with your values and gives you the feeling of accomplishment. And if you do all of those things, you will experience positive emotions. The more often you do that, the happier you will be. And it's easier to do that when you recognize that you deserve to be happy. And if anyone thinks that you don't deserve to be happy, just ask me. I'll tell you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Does anyone want to unmute and ask a question or make a comment? What you thought? Everyone's going to be quiet.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I just want to say, Charlson, this was really good information. I mean, it basically validates some journeys that I've been going through. And just to share an experience, I remember when I was 5, brought that on. I don't know where that came from. I forgot about it, really. But I had gone to my mom sent me to the grocery store to get a loaf of bread, and she gave me a 50-cent piece. And I went to the store and I didn't get any change back. And at that time, bread was like a quarter, and I didn't get any change back. And I asked the storekeeper for my change. He said, "No, you don't get any change back." So I went home and I was crying. And when I went home, I got home and I gave my mom the bread, and she asked for the change. And then I told her, I said he wouldn't give me the change. So she said, "How can you be so stupid?" I told you, you're supposed to get change back. You're supposed to get back a quarter. How can you be so stupid? And so she dragged me back over to the grocery store, and her and the storekeeper got into this big argument, and he kept saying, no, she only gave me a quarter. And my mother said, I only have 50 cents. I gave her my last 50 cents. So he gave her the quarter and I went back home, but she never said it wasn't your fault. And but she said, and all I kept hearing was, how could you be so stupid? Yeah. And I thought that the reason that they got into the argument was basically my fault. Well, technically, if I were maybe 20, yeah, it was my fault. I didn't get the change back that I was supposed to get back. And it was my responsibility to have the conversation with him. But he was an adult. But it was, yeah, but when you said that I totally forgot about that. But it's funny now. But yeah, that kind of stuck with me. And me and money had an issue for a long, long time. It became a long time before me and money became friends, and I could appreciate it and it would appreciate me. But I really appreciate this talk. But yeah, I just want to share that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
I know. It's like injecting a virus. It's like, man. So yeah, but thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. The thing about it is, we don't realize that the things that we go through, so many people have gone through it, right? So when you feel stupid about something, especially as a child, you don't say, hey, guess what? I did something stupid today. Did anyone else do something stupid? So you honestly feel like you're the only one in the world that could do that. When in reality, what were you supposed to do? And then what happens is we figure things out later and then we judge ourselves. And then, like you're saying, you had money issues, but you weren't able to go back and say, I have money issues because of these things that happened in my childhood. You didn't know why. You had to put that together. And that's the self-awareness part. That's the emotional intelligence. Why am I having these issues? Why am I having these thoughts? And then what happens is you have to recognize that, suppose you think of something where something was your fault. It happens. There are things that have been clearly my fault. It happens. But then you think, but it's okay. I did the best I could. I'm not a bad person. I'm a person who made a mistake, which makes me like the other billions of people on earth. And so I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to accept that. Guess what? I'm not perfect. That's not even a new discovery. It's one thing to say I'm not perfect. It's another thing to say I'm stupid. And so we have to recognize the difference and use appropriate language when we speak to ourselves. And I will say this, if you can't say something nice to yourself, keep practicing because you deserve to hear nice things.
And one of the other things I wanted to touch on is to be real cognitive. And it's something when I had my daughter, of the words that we say to our children, because and the words that we say to other children. And that's one of the reasons why I became a Sunday school teacher, and one of the reasons why I, speaking positively into children has been just such a mission for me my whole life. because I realized, I think probably as a young person or as a teen, how much words can hurt a person. And that whole sticks and stones thing, that none of that is true. um, words will hurt you a lot more and a lot longer than I think falling and skinning your knee will. So just if you have children or grandchildren, just constantly speak positive and say positive things. My daughter would be playing in the other room, and I would be just saying, "Oh, I'm so glad Amanda picked up her toys in here today," and even if she didn't, and it just that speaking positive, I think, just does so much for our children. So
It really does. And I'm so glad you said that. I absolutely love that. Because when I say cultivate positive emotions, the P in PERMA, and you begin to put effort into feeling positive emotions more often, if you were spoken to negatively your whole life, then when you first begin to try to intentionally experience positivity, you're going against possibly decades of negativity. It's really hard to turn that around. How can I deserve to be happy if I've been called stupid for 25 years? But if you have been speaking positivity into these parents that has been going to their children, then it's easier for the children. It's easier for them to be positive, to cultivate positive emotions. And that really uplifts the entire community because positivity and optimism are contagious. And so you can be around a bunch of friends, and one of your friends is they're just positive. They have this positive energy, and other people smile when they're around that one friend. Then it becomes contagious, and a habit of the group is smiling. And exactly what you're saying, it starts with those positive words. It starts there, and then we can grow it. So I love it. And well, I'll tell you this: it's so hard to measure impact. You really have no idea how you are impacting children by teaching positivity at Sunday school. I mean, that can have an impact generations from now. And people who never knew you existed, they will just say, my mom was always positive. She always said nice things to me. And that's 50 years from now because of a child who's hearing you today. So yeah, you never know your impact. So make sure your impact is positive.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think we're going to start wrapping it up. So thank you so much, Charlson, for joining us today. I think we all got a lot out of it. If anyone else has any comments or questions they'd like to say, if not, oh, Mary, you're muted.
What you were just talking about with children. Now that I'm doing a lot of this soul searching work, I'm realizing that even not so much just children, but even at work, if you have like one person who is negative all the time or always has a derogatory comment, to make, it really brings the whole atmosphere down. And I've just been so cognizant of that going on in like my own office. And I'm finding myself trying to be, the one to crack a joke, even if it's lame. Somebody to put the upbeat music on the radio, just trying to change the derogatory negativeness. And when I've been successful, it really changes the whole workflow for the day. It's just amazing how we can affect other people around us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the truth is, for that person who's negative all the time, we have no idea why, and we have no idea how much they need your positivity. We don't know. Again, we don't know the impact we have. And if we just choose positivity, then we don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to be positive. And then when you're not feeling, being so positive or whatever, you can remember to choose gratitude, choose those positive thoughts, and then connect with other people that can empathize with you, that you can talk to. I'm in a bad mood, I don't even know why. And then they'll return the positivity because that's what they're used to when they're around you. What I'm gonna do is in the chat, I just put my email address. If anyone has any questions or anything after this, you can just send me an email directly and we can have that conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
that's perfect. And if you send me that information, I do a Wednesday morning email about what we did last week and what's going to happen this week. So I'll include that on there, and anything you wanted. I think you said there was a video or something you wanted to
Right.
share. So anything you have, just email that to me and I'll get it out to the group.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you.
So so I want to just thank everyone for joining us tonight. It was a great session, and next week we'll meet at the same time. I have Susan Levin, who's a yoga instructor, and she's going to do some make us do some moves, and she's going to teach us a little bit of chair yoga, I believe. So she said she's got a little workout she's going to do with us. So put on your yoga tights and, and join us next Sunday night. So thank you again, Charlson, for joining us, and we're just so happy that you came here, and now we're all happy.
Right, I love
And
it.
if you get a
Thank
chance,
you.
go on to Facebook and join his You Deserve to Be Happy Facebook group. It's amazing, and it has some great content in it.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everyone. See you next week.